Does your four-legged family member beg for treats too much or generally have bad food manners? Well, Michelle is here with some awesome tips on how we can potentially change this behavior. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
It's great to see you. So my dog, Sequoia, you met her as a puppy. You were there with me from day one. Now she's almost a year old. Her birthday is in a couple weeks, which is awesome. She's an incredible dog. We worked so hard with her. But one thing, these Ridgeback, I don't know if all Ridgebacks, but my Ridgeback loves food, thinks about food, is always about food, would eat an entire bag of dog food, but does not have the best behavior around food and begs a lot. So I was wondering your insight on that and if you could offer any tips.
I have lots of tips. So first of all, it's not just a Ridgeback thing. So many dogs are so food motivated that they lose their mind when any kind of food is around, which can be really problematic because your family's eating 3 meals a day. And if you've got kids in the house, there's snack time. Dogs do what works. So they will keep asking for food if the kid always pays up, right? So we kind of create this little cycle that's not the most healthy.
Most people generally think of our furry friends as a member of the family. So for me, when I'm enjoying my food and I see those little puppy dog eyes looking up at me and my heart's bursting and I want to share the joy, but I know it's a slippery slope there. So there's got to be some boundaries somewhere.
Yeah, I think sharing food is the way that we love each other, right? You and I do this with people that we love is we feed them. And the same thing is true with dogs. But I think what we have to do is be careful about the patterns that we create as we are eating our family meals. So if our dog is sitting there with their head on the table, which your dog, Sequoia, is such a big girl that she's tall enough that she can literally walk up to your table and just put her head up there. We need to say, you know what, let's set a few limits and say, you know what, I would really appreciate if you would be over here when we're having our family meals. And then maybe you can clean up the floor when we spill food or whatever. And we can set that boundary. We can say, you know, you're invited into the kitchen after dinner is over and you're my cleanup crew.
It's interesting as they get older, how their sort of their own evolution of taste and smell and wanting what you have changes. That's why she's circling under our table at dinner time.
Well, yeah, because you maybe better food than what she has. So that's pretty interesting. Well, there are some strategies that I like to teach families that when it's mealtime, one strategy is we can ask our dog to lay on a mat. So mat training is really easy. You essentially start by putting a mat out. It could be a really comfy bed. I like to use something that I can roll up and put away when it's not time to use it. So in your case, you're going to need something a lot bigger than what I need for my smaller dog. But I like to use a bath mat with a sticky back so that when my dog goes to it, it doesn't slide across the floor. And then what we do is we reward the dog for laying in that space. And over time, we can build up duration so the dog can stay in that spot longer and longer. And so what I like to do at dinner time is I take the mat out. I put the mat as close to me as I'm comfortable. The dog knows the mat's out. I'm going to go lay on the mat. And that's where he stays. Now, throughout dinner, every once in a while, I drop a little thing for him. Now, oftentimes, like I keep a jar of food on the table when I'm eating. I have to confess something though. I have almost taken a bite of his food instead of my food.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. It's happened so many times. True confession. So what I'm doing is I'm like, I'll take a bite for me. I'll hang out, talk to my family. Then I'll toss a treat to him to say, hey, thanks for staying on the mat. I really appreciate what you're doing. Now, the idea is that we reward dogs for doing what we like, and then they do more of it, right? So if we're rewarding them for staying on the mat, as opposed to rewarding them when their head's on the table, then we're going to get more mat behavior than table behavior.
Great tips around the table, great tips for continued training in the field. Michelle, you are the absolute best. Sequoia loves you. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Ross.